Hello everyone and welcome to my third sketchbook tour. A couple things before we begin. I have the mic clipped to my hat so that I don't have to hold it and y'all don't have to hear any annoying handling microphone noises. And the second thing being that I have two other sketchbook tours up on my channel right now. So if you're interested in checking those out, feel free to do so before this, after this, or not at all. It's up to you. Just wanted to let you know that it's there. Also, real quickly, I want to take a quick look at the back. So this is, again, primarily focused on figures, as you can see here in the top left. And I began this in April of 2025 in California. Also, just would like to show off some of the awesome stickers that I've been gifted from mutuals and that I've collected, all of that fun stuff. Get this set up. So first things first, I began this book in April of 2025 and I ended it in September. So I believe this book took about 5-6-ish months to complete from beginning to end. Now let's jump straight into it. So on this first page, I actually have a graphite drawing of one of my anime figures. Funny enough, I believe that this is one, maybe the only still life drawing of an inanimate object in this entire book. And part of that being that the focus of this is on humans and figures and capturing human elements. Lots of soft graphites on this drawing. I think this was like an HB to 2B graphite scale. I rarely ever go above 2B, 4B because then it starts to get hard to erase. The darker, the harder the graphite is. Jumping into some figures here, I also would like to mention the materials I used. So this was a 7-in-1 rainbow pencil that I got off Amazon. Put the link below in the description. Also the link to the sketchbook if you want to check it out. I find that this paper is very, very soft. Allows for great blending and soft marks in general. I also think a big focus of this book, especially seeing early on, is just generally speaking shape language and silhouettes. I think compared to the last book, this one is very much so illustrative. Of course, you'll see certain pages are a bit more rendered and focused on lighting and shadow. Overall, though, I think there is a prominent focus. At the core, it is about lines and silhouettes and shapes. Here's actually one of my favorites in this whole sketchbook, this drawing here on the left. Really liked how simple it was. With these rainbow pencils, you can rarely control the color that you're getting because as you push, the pencil tilts and you lose control of what color you're using. So seeing as this one kind of has a clean value shade from cooler to warmer colors, it just totally lucked out. Looking back at it, I think I just got really lucky with how the colors turned out to be and how it kind of looked cohesive in the end. Of course, as the time increases from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, I allow myself to focus a little bit more on rendering. So with some of these longer drawings, you'll see I fill in some shadows and make room for some more detail. I believe this was a 20 and this was probably a 5. I usually am good about putting my times at the top of the page, but bear with me sometimes. I'm too focused to write it. I also feel like I got lucky with some of the earlier models in this book because I was very much so focused on this bouncy, bubbly style. And a lot of the early models I had features that were very complementary of what I was trying to express, which was softness and roundness and curvature. So on this page, we have a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Zeet, and then a Gara cosplay that I think I found on Twitter that I just wanted to draw, and she's here. So all the graphite you see is going to be this Faber-Castell Pitt Graphite, and it's important to note that it's matte. So when you photograph this, when you video it, you rarely have to worry about the reflectivity of it. Light and camera flash don't really appear in photo, which is great for posting this stuff online and also just photographing it in general. Some more rainbow figures. So here's some graphite drawings, 2s and 5s. You'll notice that with a lot of these graphite drawings, I focus a lot more on light and rendering and shading just because Graphite's monochrome, and with these rainbow pencils, it's really hard to get shading to look good. So when I draw with graphite, I am able to prioritize rendering a little bit more. So some of these end up looking more detailed despite being the same amount of time. I'm always a little bit intimidated by male models, but with time, I'm becoming more comfortable at drawing muscles and more toned bodies. This session was actually one of my favorites. I also feel like during each session, I try to focus on something a little bit different. This one being the shapes of the heads and the body, is trying to kind of push the limits of legibility. I also kind of discovered in this sketchbook that as much as I love the round, bubbly feel of things, I think kind of contrasting that with sharp edges can be a lot of fun and can also bring out more of the playfulness of the roundness. So when you have like these stark edges to compare the roundness to, it just all seems a little bit more playful and more interesting to look at visually. And this is one of my favorite spreads in the whole book, notably because a lot of the folds here in the clothes and in the hair, I just got really lucky. I think I remember that the pencil I was using was really dull, allowing me to get these very thick lines. And then I kind of went back toward the end and put in more detail with thinner lines using a different pencil. So I feel like that mix of thick and thin really brought out some of the character in these pages. Here you can see I tried to render the hair a bit. It just looks a little messy in my opinion. It's very fun, don't get me wrong, but as a control freak, it is a little nerve-wracking for me. I remember this session, I was really trying to push only round, bubbly silhouettes. As you can see here, it's very strong, which I think was fun. I'm glad I tried it. Here we have some typography on the left, and then we have some 10 minutes on the right. And again, you can see here that with some of these shading things, it just kind of looks uncontrolled, which it was. But honestly, looking back at it, I think it adds to the looseness and funness? I don't know. Now, this was actually one of my favorite sessions, and I remember going into it thinking most of my work up to this point in this book had been too illustrative, and I wanted to kind of focus more, bring things back a little bit more on light and skin and folds and muscle. So I found myself contouring a lot of these lines in the direction that the light was hitting them, or that I felt the skin was kind of wrapped around the body. I also remember that this session had like a very intense light, which allowed me to go in and really bring out some of the highlights and shadows here. There was a lot of randomness in what I was doing with the pencil. So there's kind of these like squiggles, there's like thicker lines. I just wanted to be as loose as possible while still kind of giving the overall black and white mood that was set here. Here's some quick ones, and then this was another Twitter cosplay of Clanad, which is a personal favorite show of mine. Another male model. I love long flowy hair, curly hair. I just think you can get so many fun lines. Hair is one of those things that you can make as unrealistic as you want, while still, generally speaking, keeping the legibility. Quick illustrative dump, and then some more figures, this time with very thin, more confident silhouettes. I think I was trying to challenge myself. Another one of my favorites here on the right, I remember the model hit this very dramatic, like she was grabbing onto something figure-like, and I had these this combo of thin and thick kind of on the silhouette, and I remember feeling like it added to the mood of this dramatic figure who was longing for something or missing something. I don't know what it is about it, but I'm a bit drawn to it. Here we have a little 3D psychedelic moment, and then on the left, this one's a bit more character-y. Sometimes I like to sacrifice the realness, the realism of the model for a bit of fun, especially in the face and extremities like the hands and legs. So now this spread is a bit more detailed. We have a couple of self-portraits. Here's an observation drawing of a woman in Japan, I think Kyoto, a Colin Farrell, which is a personal favorite of mine, and then some observational drawings from a courtyard near me. Going back and mixing in some of the rainbow stuff, more observational drawings. Sometimes I get asked how I start these drawings, and it's almost always with the general silhouette of the outline, and then kind of like working in and adding detail as I go further in. Back to some figures, more graphite, some very soft lighting on some of these. These models were a duo, which made for some awesome, more intimate shots. The interaction between humans in drawings I also think is something that is very unexplored for me personally, and something I want to kind of push more and get into in the future. And from this point on, you'll notice a lot of self-portraits. The main reason being is that it's the most accessible face for you to practice. I also think that if you draw friends and celebrities that people know, you run the risk of offending people, and with drawing yourself, you don't ever have to worry about offending anyone. You can push as many things as possible. You can push your eyes, your lips, your ears, your jaw, your body, and the only person who you can upset is yourself. And if you don't take yourself too seriously, then you can have a lot of fun with it. Here are my dogs, which I believe we get more into on this next page. And then a full spread of them. 99% of the time I'm drawing people, so I kind of wanted to shift the focus to animals for a change. More figures. Here's a little character, probably covering up a face I didn't like, yeah. More figures, my dog again and my friend. And a spread full of self-portraits. I just remember at this point in the sketchbook having so much fun with graphite that I think I did this entire spread in the same day. This is another one of my favorite spreads in this book. I remember just sticking my hand in my pencil bag and pulling out a random combination of Prismacolors and forcing myself to kind of draw with them. So, another full spread of self-portraits. And then this might be my favorite thing in the whole sketchbook. I don't know what it is, the hand and the face and the pillow, I'm very attached to it. Going back to some more graphite figures. Really pushing just random features of the face. I think I wanted to do like a very boxy, more square drawing as opposed to some of those curvier round lines. So this is the result. Oh, look, I think there's one more little still life in here of like a plant potter at a coffee shop. More figures. Love, love, love the hair, especially when there's like a big bulky clip in there. You can get some very, very interesting shapes going. Shout out my friend Dan, who was an intern at Pixar, who invited me to come kind of like tour and see the Pixar campus for a day, and also get to see so many talented, creative people kind of sharing the awesome space that is Pixar. I remember I saw her hair when I walked in and I was like, today is going to be a good day. I believe more Prismacolor pencil. And then we have the final page in the sketchbook with one last self-portrait in green, a little portrait shot from a figure session, and then loose, quick figures with, I guess I was writing something at the time, I don't really remember, but wanted to include that. Something I'll also quickly note is that you'll see some scrap paper taped in here. What happens a lot is that I'll pull out a piece of printer paper thinking that I'm just gonna doodle or do some quick mark making, and then it turns out to be something that I'm really attached to or something that I feel like belongs in the sketchbook that just wasn't drawn on the sketchbook pages themselves. So don't be afraid to kind of scrapbook if you are drawn to something that you make that is not necessarily in it. And that's the end. As always, if you have any questions or you want to discuss anything in particular with me, feel free to DM me on Instagram, have a conversation with me on Twitter, or just comment. It's the same at everywhere at Grumnail. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I will be back for another sketchbook tour in the future and hoping to do some other videos on this channel. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.